The following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
We're going to do this for free, right?
Well, it's Dave, is our friend.
No, okay. First of all, we had to go from Des Moines to Chicago. You know how far that? Well, you know.
Yeah, I was in the car with
5 hours. Now, when
he farted 100 times in the car.
Morrison supposed to do that. It was 3 hours. But once we got here and had
Dave was kind of like my own Harvey with him. So let's just do it for him.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm not going to say
the Brooklyn Brawler.
Hey, brother, I got you here.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay, what's different about your usual promos? If you would just say suck it at the end of it, like you usually do. All right, in 3, 2. It's me, it's the D-O-double-G, and by my side, as usually, is badass Billy Gunn, and X to the Pac, y'all, guaranteed to rock y'all. And you're watching the Pro Wrestling Report right here on my channel, Milwaukee. 24.
Hey, wait a minute. I said I wasn't going to say nothing.
No, 24. We got it in there. You got it, right?
Suck it.
Okay, suck it.
Yeah, suck it.
Suck it. And we're out.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report, PrimeTime TV, the longest-running pro wrestling news program in the world, with your hosts, David Hero and Dameon Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report here on My 24 Milwaukee. Dameon Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius the Tiberius, the alleged one-time Backyard Diva Knockout Hall of Fame
I knocked a
wrestler.
diva out? No, I didn't. That's how rumors start.
Let's talk about Ring of Honor Wrestling, which you just got done watching, and big news coming out of that as Kevin Steen gets a match. He is back, at least if not for one night only, at Final Battle on December 23rd against Steve Corino. If he wins, he gets another contract with Ring of Honor Wrestling. This was an intense situation in the ring, and it's clear Jim Cornette doesn't want to have anything to do with Kevin Steen being back in Ring of Honor Wrestling.
I think it's safe to say there will be some sort of shenanigans to get Kevin Steen back in Ring of Honor.
And, well, there were a lot of people involved, so it would seemingly be that way. But also tonight, the Young Bucks talking about a thing that's been talked about them for quite a while, David.
Shaking hands?
Exactly, and showing respect to the stars and how they don't feel they deserve or that they should be giving or showing that respect because they've been around for a long time.
It's funny.
And they proved it in the ring tonight as they won their matchup against
storyline?
Future Shock.
It's a storyline now? Shaking
Yes,
hands.
indeed.
Who would have thought they would take real life and bring
What
it
you
into
don't know is they got a little heat, if you will, in TNA and in WWE for.
No, they had a tryout on SmackDown, and they didn't shake Booker T's hand. That didn't end up very well for them.
They didn't introduce themselves, shake their hands, or whatever, which is customary to do if you're backstage at a wrestling show.
That's why
with some of
all
these
wrestlers
legends.
have little things of Perel.
Dan Severn's training Eddie Edwards. We got a glimpse into the camp for that big matchup at Final Battle on December 23rd versus Davey Richards. Dan Severn now affiliated with Eddie Edwards, who used to be part of Team Richards.
The Beast, Dan Severn. I mean, what a great way of... See, Ring of Honor, they've always stressed they're more like MMA and UFC than TNA and Raw and SmackDown. So now when they bring over one of the originals and Dan Severn, just helps their cause, and what a great addition is Dan Severn.
And that was this week's Ring of Honor TV, but there's a lot more going on in the world of professional wrestling, including what might have been John Morrison's last match in WWE this past Monday night on Raw, a holiday edition of SmackDown, and Matt Hardy is in jail, out of jail, back in jail, the history book, and star of the week, all coming up next, right here on the Pro Wrestling Report, Prime Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Anderson, and you are watching Dameon Nelson and my super friend David Hero on Milwaukee's My 24. Yeah.
Top story this week is John Morrison, and lots of reports going around out there about him and whether or not he is still actively involved with World Wrestling Entertainment. There's been a lot of discussion over the last few weeks about John Morrison and as to whether or not he would stay actively involved with World Wrestling Entertainment. And after this past Monday night, when The Miz dominated him, it seems like his absence has been explained.
Well, absolutely.
His future absence.
I mean, right now, the way that John Morrison left Raw, a beatdown from The Miz of all people.
Just like R-Truth.
It just opens the door for him to come back. And then when Johnny Laryngitis, when he on his Twitter account said that the reason he wasn't going to re-sign John Morrison was because he's been losing too often.
His win-loss record is
that right there.
He needs to get in shape.
Tells you he's going to take some time off and bring him back as a different 60s
Why are you
and 70s
so
rock star.
convinced, because you've been this way since we started this speculation about John Morrison's career, why are you so convinced that he's not leaving WWE?
Because they wouldn't acknowledge his departure the way they have. He's coming back. Trust me, I know. John Morrison, as great as he is not a fit in TNA. He isn't.
I don't think he'd go there. He has no reason to.
He's going to be back, maybe by the Royal Rumble. Big return, John Morrison, Jomo, maybe he comes back with Joey Mercury. Who knows? That could jumpstart the tag team division.
John Laurinaitis at WWE Raw GM
it's Laurinaitis?
on Twitter.
Oh, I thought it was
on
Laryngitis.
Twitter.
Okay.
Made that statement, right? They also put some stuff on WWE.com. What is WWE in love with nowadays? Working the internet and the social media world.
And that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but I think they're doing that because they know that there's this buzz around whatever Morrison's going to be doing, so they're playing along with it.
I firmly believe
he's
TNA. TNA probably thinks he's been
They probably
fired.
called him 3 times.
Absolutely.
His contract did lapse. That's one thing that is pretty certain. So if you're John Morrison, aside from the money, what reason do you have to go back?
Because where else is he going to go?
Maybe he doesn't want to wrestle anymore. Look, there's so many people who recently have departed WWE on their own free will. Names such as Gail Kim. Names such as Maurice. Names such as Melina.
Harry Smith.
Chavo Guerrero. People who asked out. MVP, not so recently, but the same in the past. People who asked.
I'm sorry.
Is this happening?
I think it's Chavo.
CHAVO?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
I thought he was down at the Waukesha Expo Center.
The after party is at the Horny Goat Hideaway.
We got to get down there in a minute.
Yes. Horny Goat, it's off of First and Beecher. Yeah, Dameon has all this stuff put aside. All right, I'll see you then. Thanks.
Why the exodus? Why these people leaving WWE on their own free will? And you've made the point, well, why would you leave the money? Why would you leave the fame? They did it. Why wouldn't John Morrison do it?
With the exception of Gail Kim, who has had a successful run since leaving.
Well, I don't know if you can really judge it. In their minds, they've been more successful because they're their own boss.
Happier.
Exactly.
It's hard to say. But I'm just willing to bet John Morrison is back soon.
Care to make it interesting?
Sure. What do you want
I'm
to
not
do?
a betting man.
If I win, you shave your head?
We can go with that.
Okay.
John Morrison, at least at this point, gone from World Wrestling Entertainment. The rumor, though, that going into Monday, because I think WWE had announced this match would be this way, was that it was going to be Brodus Clay returning to go into a match with John Morrison, dominate him, explain his absence, but they gave that to The Miz to continue his career-ending streak.
Why did they? Because Brodus gave it away on Twitter. He said what he was going to do. He spoiled it.
I think it's more so that it made more sense in the continuation of what The Miz is doing to put The Miz in that spot.
No way.
John Morrison said he was going to go into South Carolina and beat Brodus. So why didn't they change that match if that's the way? If the reason is that Brodus said it, if John Morrison said it too, then that doesn't really leave much validity to that.
I have no idea. You know what? You're right.
See? Finally. Well, that is this week's top story. John Morrison seemingly gone from WWE. There is much more still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report, including Star of the Week, which should be interesting from this one.
Bro, we got to get to Horny Goat.
The history book. We have obligations and responsibilities here. If you just pay attention, we can get through this faster and stop derailing us. Star of the Week, the history book, WWE, TNA, and more. The Pro Wrestling Report here on My 24 Milwaukee continues after this.
Hello, this is Jeff Hardy, the Charismatic Enigma, and you're watching the Pro Wrestling Report on My 24 Milwaukee.
Horny Goat Belgian wheat. This is a wonderful Belgian style ale. We brew it with American two-row malt and malted wheat, as well as some oats for creaminess. We add coriander and orange peels in it, so you're going to get some really wonderful citrusy aromas on the finish and in the middle. The Belgian yeast gives it a really great spicy finish. Now the true beer snobs out there are going to say that you should never put anything in a glass of beer, like fruit or anything like that. And I say that beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. And if you come down to our brew pub and you want an orange slice in this, well then you can have it. Hey fellas, a little dating tip advice for you. If you ever really want to impress the ladies, there's nothing that beats the pheromones of a nice
Belgian ale.
shake it up a little bit, put a little bit behind the ears.
You're irresistible.
Oh my God, it's Charlie Haas and it's Shelton Benjamin. We are wrestling's greatest tag team and the ROH Tag Team Champions. And you are watching the Pro Wrestling Report on My 24.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on My 24. Milwaukee, Dameon Nelson sitting alongside David
Hero.
And it's time to go to this week's headlines, brought to you by the all-new PWRshow.com. Hop on over to PWRshow.com. Take a look at all that there is to offer there, including check out this past Monday's 540 ESPN radio show, which included our guest, Mean Gene Okerlund.
Mean Gene. He's waiting for us at Horny Goat also.
He is. And what David keeps referencing is obviously Blizzard Brawl was tonight. And you can clearly, I made it through just fine. I recover well. But you can join us at the Horny Goat Hideaway for the post party. Such stars such as Mean Gene Okerlund,
Sonny, Chavo Guerrero, Al Snow.
all going to be down at the Horny Goat
You know
Hideaway.
that guy Kevin Thorne? Yeah, he'll be there.
Oh, yeah. All going to be down at the Horny Goat Hideaway on South 1st Street. Come on down and be a part of it if you weren't able to make it to Blizzard Brawl tonight out in Waukesha. And tonight also at Blizzard Brawl out in Waukesha, we presented the Lifetime Achievement Award to Mean Gene Okerlund right in the middle of the wrestling ring. He joins the ranks of Demolition and Bobby the Brain Heenan. We'll have footage of that right here on this very program in 2 weeks' time, because next week, David Hero, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Honors. First time on broadcast television. Yes, it's the year-end awards right here, hosted by Linda Kay on the My 24 Milwaukee. Next week, the Pro Wrestling Report Honors. She will be hosting. Absolutely.
Ooh la la.
But let's get to this week's headlines, and this one is unfortunate because Matt Hardy has been ordered to return to rehab. For those who don't know, Matt Hardy was arrested and jailed and forced to go to rehab. He was very proudly announced that he was going to WWE-sponsored rehab. Didn't work out so well. He alleges it was mouthwash.
Mouthwash.
Why he, blew a blood alcohol level higher than he needed to. But he was jailed after being kicked out of rehab, and now a provision of him not being jailed anymore is to go back to rehab. But this time, it's a $250,000 fine if he doesn't make it through this rehab stint.
That's when you bust out the duct tape and you just don't leave. 250 grand, I'm staying.
And we'll see what this means for Matt Hardy if he can make it through this particular round. We do know that he's got several court dates pending. Get ready for this, David Hero. December 21st, he's got a court date coming up. Had one on December 6th, had one on December 1st, had one on November 20th. He's got all these charges.
So he's really in the PWR show honors, isn't he?
Well, we don't give out an award for that, David Hero.
Yes, Your Honor. No contest, Your Honor.
But Matt Hardy has been ordered to return to rehab. But one interesting thing, David, is his brother Jeff Hardy of TNA Wrestling has been praised by many people in the wrestling business, specifically Eric Bischoff and Ken Anderson. Eric Bischoff took to Twitter to say this about Jeff Hardy, and I quote, "Very impressed with the way Jeff Hardy is handling himself. Taken responsibility, changed his life, and is 100% professional. I doubted Jeff. Not anymore. Admire him for having the cojones to overcome his issues and raise his game." Eric Bischoff very vocal after the March incident at Victory Road where Jeff Hardy was unable to perform in a TNA main event. And now making this statement, it really echoes a lot of the stuff that we've heard from Jeff Hardy since he came back, and from people around Jeff Hardy, including that interview that we conducted with Jeff Hardy here a couple of weeks back.
Even right then when we sat down with Jeff, you could tell in his eyes he was a different guy. He's concerned about his life, his health, his well-being, his family, his baby girl, his career. He knows there's no more opportunities after this, because we all know Vinnie Mac won't take him back. So it's right now, it's like get straight in TNA, otherwise you're done.
Ken Anderson said this about Jeff Hardy. A guy like Jeff Hardy, regardless, and I quote, a guy like Jeff Hardy, regardless of what you think about him personally, is a tremendous entertainer.
He dropped the T word?
He loves this business and gives his all to this business.
At the end of the day, Jeff Hardy sells a lot of merchandise. He's a big fan favorite. And you know what? They can keep bringing up what happened at the pay-per-view. But does that help the company? You've got to now go forward. He's already beat Jeff Jarrett 3 times in one night.
One night.
You know? So, okay, obviously he's going back in the main event after how things panned out on TNA. So, good for Jeff Hardy. You know what? You got another opportunity to fix things. And so far, it's been going pretty well. Let him do it.
WWE's Royal Rumble is going to be in St. Louis at the Scott Trade Center. Tickets just went on sale recently for that. And part of the announcement by the Scott Trade Center was that the Royal Rumble will feature 30 participants. For those of you that don't recall, last year it was billed as the biggest Royal Rumble of all time with 40 participants. This year back to 30, David Hero, a bit more of a traditional sense in the Royal Rumble.
They don't need the Usos and Drew McIntyre and some of the other random guys off NXT. They don't have to be in there.
They were in the SmackDown Battle Royal on Tuesday.
But what I'm saying is just let them do 30, pick the best 30 you can find, and just go from there. It's the Rumble. No matter what it is, it's always going to be entertaining.
Unless they go back to 60-second intervals, which they did, I think, 95.
Well, that's not going to happen again.
The Royal Rumble, we'll see if it actually sticks with 30 or goes back up to 40 and is once again as big as it was last year. That's this week's headlines, brought to you by the all-new PWRshow.com.
This week's PWR Star of the Week is the guy who is never easy being green. He is the Muppet Madhouse Master, the guy that knocked Sheamus out of the big battle royal on SmackDown to get the opportunity to sit on Santa Claus's lap and tell him exactly what he wanted, and that was to be heard. Why not? Congratulations to our main mandible, Hornswoggle, the PWR Star of the Week.
Hey everybody, I'm Sunny, the original diva of the WWE and 2011 WWE Hall of Famer, and you're watching Pro Wrestling Report on My 24. And you're watching the Pro Wrestling Report on My 24.
Well, David, it's time to go back in time, if you will, and take a look at the history book for this week, which is 3 different events. But we're going to first take a stop in 2010, where this week, last year, yes, indeed, Sheamus became the King of the Ring.
Good old Sheamus. You know, this has always been his best time of year. Last year, he won the King of the Ring. The year before that, he beat John Cena to become the E-champion in the tables match.
I thought he didn't beat John Cena. I thought John Cena just sort of fell into a table off the top rope. At the time, that's how he explained it.
His arm was raised. They gave him gold. He was the WWE champion, Sheamus.
And he defeated John Morrison in the finals to become the King of the Ring. A bit ironic, given John Morrison's state with or without the company right now.
You know what? John Morrison, yeah, last year, it has been a good 6-7 months for him, has it?
Not at all. And, you know, back to the point of Morrison, it seemed like that was at a time where they were really elevating him towards the top of the card, and that was pulled back.
That's when they called him Spider-Man. He's doing the flips onto
it's called parkour.
Isn't that a butter?
Back in 1999, the WCW Television Championship was abandoned after not Alundra Blaze, but Scott Hall dropped it in a trash can. The WCW television. It happened on an episode of Nitro. I don't know if you remember that program from the defunct WCW.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I don't remember that incident where he did that. That was probably towards the end. Well, there was so much stuff.
I think he thought it was the last call for the belt. Now, that's not being insensitive. He was called Last Call Scott Hall for quite a while in WCW.
Bro, that was so rude. How dare you?
Right, yeah. Work it up. Keep going.
Hey, they're going to let you know about it. Come on now.
Sad news, though. In 2003, Moondog Spot, many of you remember him, former WWF champion, actually suffered a heart attack. I said WWF Tag Team Champion.
Please,
that's important,
don't confuse everybody.
Suffered a heart attack during a wrestling match in Memphis, Tennessee. Moondog Spot in 2003, suffering an unfortunate heart attack in a wrestling ring. And that's just got to be a sad situation for everybody involved, including the audience that has to watch.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine being there and watching it happen live and Moondog doesn't kick out.
That's this week's history book, and we'll see what comes next time as we look back in time here in the history book on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Time to talk about Total Nonstop Action Impact Wrestling, which was this past. That's not going to happen, believe you me.
Jeez.
They're getting ready for the honors. All the production team next week right here is the Pro Wrestling Report honors.
There's a lock on it.
This past Thursday night on Impact, it was announced by Sting that at Final Resolution there's going to be a matchup between Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy. But you know what? Before that, actually, how about that whole car wash thing with the knockouts?
It took me
and
back
Gail
to
Kim
my
with her water hose, and she was spraying.
I'm glad
T-shirts.
you clarified. Well, just I know how you get about that kind of stuff. Wax on?
Lingerie last week, car wash this week.
What's left?
I'm fine with it. If Hardy wins the matchup, he gets a match with Bobby Roode. I'm sorry, he gets the winner of the Roodes versus Style match in January at TNA's pay-per-view, which I believe is Genesis. I'm sorry if this is confusing because it's TNA. If Jeff Jarrett wins, then Hardy must leave TNA, and Sting is going to be handcuffed to Jeff Jarrett. I did, yes, just have a flashback to Sergeant Slaughter being handcuffed to China.
Wait, Sting is handcuffed to Jeff Jarrett during their match?
To Karen Jarrett, I'm sorry.
Oh. It's not a bad thing to have happen to you.
That matchup to occur next Sunday night at Final Resolution on pay-per-view from TNA Wrestling. Jackie Moore, who had been teaming with ODB for a while, has spoken out and said that apparently she's done with TNA Wrestling. Says that her contract has lapsed and she has not heard from the company, nor has she re-signed with the company. And we did see ODB in a matchup losing to Mickie James in a street fight this past Thursday night. Jackie Moore going to be missed or not? She also said, and maybe I was a little too stiff, because she tends to work.
Jackie beats the crap out of people.
How about those matchups she had with Disco Inferno back in WCW?
Yes, she laid into him too. And Mark Merrill. And Sable.
Want to remind you, head on over to our website and check out this past Monday night's 540 ESPN radio program, which featured Mean Gene Okerlund. And if you didn't get a chance to check out Blizzard Brawl, which was tonight at the Waukesha County Expo Center, you can still come down and participate and have some fun with
Shenanigans.
us at the Horny Goat Hideaway that's located on South 1st Street. Great specials for drinks and all kinds of fun. And we'll be there along with several great wrestling talents at the Horny Goat Hideaway. And that is available right now. The party is going. As a matter of fact, we're going to end the show and head on down there. So thank you so much for tuning in here on My 24 Milwaukee. We'll see you next week when we present the 2011 Pro Wrestling Report Honors, hosted by Linda Kay. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone.
Stop stalking your ex and be our friend on Facebook and join the tremendous worldwide discussion. Facebook.com/Pro Wrestling Report.
Everybody start gasping. I'm ready for the lights, camera, action. Go!